Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Sorry about no notifications or not even prepping. I don't know what's going on this week. I'm kind of overwhelmed with all of these live chats, and then live overwhelmed with things I have to do at home. So forgive me as I try to adjust this a little bit. Let's see if I can move this up a little bit. All right. So welcome to John's Long Box. I slept in. Felt great. It's a nice, rainy, cold, dark day here in New York. Perfect for sleeping. And I put these blackout curtains in my room, so I had no idea what it was, and I forgot to set my alarm. So I just slept in. Oh my God, it felt good, and I needed that. I normally wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning for work, so it was just good to sleep in. So forgive me. As always, taking a sip of my delicious Tim Hortons coffee to activate my noggin. Otherwise, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do without my coffee. Anybody else addicted to coffee? Love it. Love it. Love it. So as per usual, I'm filibustering. I see you got two people in the comments. You want to say hello? Let me know if I'm broadcasting, if everything looks good. Sounds good. I figured today I wanted to talk about get back to regular comics. The last two Sunday comics, I talked about my role-playing game, which was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. I don't really know what else to talk about my role-playing game, so I went back to comics. And I just love this comic. Marcus Kelligrew, I'm addicted to coffee. All right. Marcus Kelligrew is also addicted to coffee. All right. Nice. Nice. I'm trying to filibuster it just a little bit, but I guess we got two people here. Who else is in here? So anyway, I'm waking up now. I figured I'd talk about this. This is Fantastic Four Annual number 15, 1980, king size annual. Look at this garbage on top. Win a Toys R Us shopping spree. Grand price minimum. I always hated these banners. Oh my God, I hated these banners. Just ruined the artwork for me. Just ruined everything. And does anybody know who won this? Who won this freaking shopping spree? Nobody won it because it was just fake. I would love to find out who actually won this. But look at this. Mr. Fantastic fighting alongside Captain Marvel must defeat the Skrulls Prime 10 or the galaxy dies. And then right in the corner of Doctor Doom lives. Plus a second all-new feature. I just love this. This is George Perez and Joe Simon. Joe Sinnott. Why am I blanking out? I couldn't think of his name for a second. But this is just wonderful. Just wonderful. I love Captain Marvel over here. All right, so let's open it up. All right, we got this. Let me move my phone. We got this cash prizes over here. What are you? The Sales Leadership Club. What are we selling over here? You sell stuff and you win these prizes. Big deal. Did anybody ever do this? Oh, it's a little askew and that's driving me nuts. There we go. There we go. Oh. When I bought this house, I went to the basement. I keep talking about it. It was unfinished, and I did it. The floor was slanted. So if you went down to the steps, it was 4 or so inches higher than if you went all the way back to the end of, like, say, the comic book room. So if you went that way where the steps are, it was 4 inches higher, and if you went this way where my comic book room is, it was 4 inches lower. And it did the floor, and it would have taken so much leveling compound. So I just did Pergo on the floor, and it just drives me nuts that there's just a slight incline on everything, and it just seems to like play tricks with my brain. I always feel like I'm a little off balance. I'm still kicking myself that I didn't level the floor. Okay, so enough complaints. You see, like, everything is always just slightly askew. So time for the Prime 10. Look at this wonderful drawing. So let's look at the credits. We got Doug Munch, writer, who I love Doug Munch, and it's funny because I just remember him doing the Moon Knight. It's like, to me, that he's my Moon Knight writer. We got George Perez doing the breakdowns, which means he pretty much just does like sketching over here, and then Stone, D'Agostino, and Espo finishes. So the fact that it looks as much like George Perez is actually amazing, considering there's 3 different inkers: Jim Novak letterers, Sean Russo's colors, Jim Scalacrup editor, and Jim Shooter editor in chief. Geez, how often am I talking about Jim Shooter? And I just love this. Just what he's working out. He's working out over here, and then Johnny Storm, this whole entire skyscraper building, he's got to play darts right next to. It's just funny. Sue over here, she's tickling Franklin with the invisible force field, and then here's Alicia. So what's going on? Reed's in one of those manic phases where he's just working. He's got an idea. He's like addicted to it, and he's just so Sue is just keeping herself busy. And I just love this. Like, there's no threats, there's nothing, but they're just hanging out in their uniforms. Now, the way I'd explain this, it's in my brain, is that these unstable molecule uniforms must be the most comfortable thing ever. To the point, like, I bet you, like, it's funny to put this in the real world stuff, but since I'm making my own comic, I think about this stuff all over. So in my comic book, the unstable molecules, it's called proto matter, and it's like they find it from like a dimension between dimensions. So it's unformed, unfinished matter that responds to the mental state, and not completely, but it responds to the mental state of the wearer. So wearing the proto matter, it's immune to your powers. So if you turn into the Human Torch, the proto matter will allow you to burst into flames without being destroyed. It'll stretch, it'll turn invisible and stuff like that. If you do not wear proto matter, your costume will get destroyed. And the same with unstable molecules. As I take another sip of coffee. I forget what they call it DC, if they have a name for it at all. Now, when you're wearing proto matter, and I assume the same goes for unstable molecules, that it would almost be like you feel like you're obscene. It would almost feel like you're not wearing clothes. It's just like that comfortable, and that it'll disappear when you put on other clothes. It'll reappear like when you like if you're Peter Parker and you got your Spider-Man suit on, you must be sweating. But if you're wearing proto matter, it pretty much like evaporates and then reforms because it responds to your mental needs. So I imagine like this is why the Fantastic Four and the event, they're always wearing their costumes, because it just must be so comfortable. And I would add, like, when you first started wearing proto matter, you would be self-conscious. You would almost feel like you were naked, because it doesn't feel like clothes until you get used to it and make it commit. So anyway, that's how I always describe that they're always wearing their costumes in non-combat, lazy day Sunday kind of days. Forgive me, I'm gonna blow my nose. Sorry, everybody. Worst freaking host ever. But Reed's been pushing himself lately, and this is the Reed that I like. He's obsessed with science. He's a good guy. He's got this idea. What is his idea? So he's got this Franklin's toy car. He's got this big freaking machine over here, and the car moved, and he's like, the car moved. He comes running out, and I love the fact that he's got a lab coat on. Gotta look the part. And this is just like a breakthrough in science, a wonderful breakthrough in science that is never It's just never addressed again. Like, this is world changing right here. So what does Reed do? He has this machine, and he puts in like they look like batteries. He puts them in the toy car, and what this machine does is it sends harmless radiation. Oh, you can't see. It sends harmless radiation to the car, and then the cells in the car transform the harmless radiation into electric energy, and the car moves. So what's he doing? He's sending wireless power. So because of this machine, he could send power through the air, harmless power through the air, to engines. So you know what I mean? This is wireless energy through this changes the world. We don't need wires, you don't need gas, you just need cells. Like, just imagine a Tesla that will drive forever because it never needs to be charged, or TV, or anything. There's no more wire. I'm out of work. I'm an electrician. You know what I mean? So I don't want this technology. Oh, Marcus commented, I think they should always wear the costumes because they're in a superhero. Yes. That's the realistic reason. That's why, name brand recognition, everything, yes. But I'm thinking about in world, why would they, but absolutely that's the real reason, because it's their comic. And so he's all excited. He's explaining the success of his experiment. He's been in there for like days, and then Spider-Man shows up. And Spider-Man does the correct thing. He uses Twinkies to apprehend this horrible looking woman over here. She looks like, I don't even know who she looks like. She looks like Rip Taylor or something, or I don't even know. But Twinkies are delicious, so it's good for you, Spider-Man. So an alarm goes off. And of course, the Fantastic Four are ready for action. I love this panel right here. All four of them in their action poses. They open the door. It's like, you. I can't believe it. You. And who is it? It's Willie Lumpkin, our old mailman, wiggling his ears. That was his thing. He was wiggling his ears. That's his mutant ability. And so he goes, Willie Lumpkin. They had a retirement party for him. This is one of those beloved characters that Stan and Jack were famous for. They would make like secondary characters, tertiary characters important. And we got so he's coming out of retirement to deliver this package. He went down to visit his friends, saw the dress, they came in. So Reed's just like, I gotta go. He didn't shut down the experiment. He was excited that it worked. He came out to tell everybody that it worked, and then the alarm went off because Willie Lumpkin didn't know the correct procedures. The new regular Fantastic Four mailman knows the procedures, has a chip on him or something like that. So the alarms don't go off. Willie didn't have it. So he's got to go and turn everything off. So, they've had Willie for X amount of years. They're having a meal with him. He was retired. What's he gonna do? He's hanging out for an hour. Why not? So he's looking at the package. Outside, they got a hot dog vendors and everything. All these people. And they're being questioned by the police. What's going on? Who lives there? Whatever. He's like, what do you mean who lives there? It's Fantastic Four. It reads like, what's going on? Why is there a problem? What the? And he's looking through the energy transference device, and he's seeing another lab. And he's like, what's going on? What's going on? And he sees Captain Marvel smashing through the wall, and a piece of debris comes through, and it's freezing cold. Why is it freezing cold? Because it actually traveled the distance in space between the two images. I always love that. And so all this debris is coming out, not attacking Reed, but it's just for for the momentum from being smashed by Captain Marvel, and he manages to turn the machine off, and he's like, what's going on? So his matter transformation is his energy transference machine is now a matter transfer machine. What's it say? Why Willie Lumpkin had a daily comic strip by Stanley? Really? Oh, wow. So Willie Lumpkin, I didn't know that, Marcus. Willie Lumpkin had a daily comic strip by Stan Lee and Archie legend Dan DiCarlo in the 50s. Oh, wow. I got to look that up. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So he was a pre-existing character that they inserted into the oh, there you go. You know, I never claimed to know everything about comics, and you know, as I prove every day. So Reed goes in. Why doesn't Reed say explain this? What's going on? And he's holding on to Sue, and he's like, "What's going on? You don't feel right." He goes, "I really don't feel right." That's because I'm a Skrull, you know. So he goes, "The package that you brought, yeah." He goes, "Yeah, all the stuff, everything in the package is." So Willie Lumpkin, he didn't come out of retirement. It's a Skrull. That's why the alarms went off, and that package was this machine, and when he activated it, it incapacitated the rest of the Fantastic Four. So he's like, I disposed of them. Like, I'll get you. You know. Anybody get this? Anybody ever buy these? I was always so interested in this, and I never bought them. And here's the ad for getting the Toys R Us shopping spree. First off, it's a shame to see Toys R Us is gone. Anybody, Marcus, you remember Toys R Us? Anybody? It looks like it's the Marcus and I show. You know, that's what happens when I don't advertise. And so he used his device to work on the this energy mechanism to transfer to a matter transmitter. So it normally is an energy transmitter. It transmits energy wirelessly through space, and then he activate because the Skrulls are keeping tabs on the Fantastic Four. He's turning it into a matter transference, and he's talking. And Marcus, you actually got them. They were flat and they were plastic. So what do you mean? They were like standees instead of like little miniatures? Is that what you're saying? Wow, somebody actually got them. This is my worst show ever. Oh, you remember Toys R Us? Yeah, I worked at Toys R Us. I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed working at Toys R Us. One of the best jobs I had in my teen years. So he's telling the backstory. Yes, like standees. Okay. Did you like it? Did you get your money's worth? Did you play with it? Were you disappointed? I'm curious. So this is the backstory. You know, the Skrulls. You know, Skrulls are fighting. You know, there's chaos. There's a asteroid that they dig out. They make a lab, and they're working on this. And they're seeing the other side. Reed Richards working on this. You know, Skrull is pulling a gut. Now, if you notice around here, the artwork is very different. You know, this almost looks like a Jack Kirby. Just look at this. We're losing the I think that's I don't know if George Perez just didn't have time, and that's why he's just doing but the artwork is extremely inconsistent, very inconsistent. Although this panel I do like the big close up in the exposition. So they're talking about all the nonsense of why they're doing this, and I always found like the timing of this was off. I was disappointed, but I played with them. Kids find a way. Yeah. I know that feeling, you know. That's Chick Stone's inking very thick lines. Yeah. Funny story about Chick Stone is apparently he was a ladies' man. And he would bring first off, he got the job, he didn't know how to ink, so he learned on the fly. And then second off, he apparently he was a ladies' man, and he was always bringing women up to the Marvel bullpen in the 50s. You know, by the time the Fantastic Four would be made, the bullpen didn't really exist. And he was always bringing the girls up, telling them that they were going to be models. And so he would bring, and everybody would just, be good wingmen and like draw the girls like in poses, stuff like that, while he was flirting with them. Can you imagine that, bringing the girls up to the Marvel offices? That's how you hit on the chick. So, Reed's no dummy. He's letting him monologue. He's, doing the old stretcher-Rudy behind him, and then just smashes this scroll and just beats the crap out of him. He's like, he's just going all brute. Now, one thing I always liked about Reed was I always thought he was like a wonderful paradox. His he's Mr. Fantastic, and his superpower is that he could stretch. But to me, his main power has always been his intelligence. Reed's, let's be realistic. His problem solving, his intelligence has solved more problems than his stretching. So I always found it funny that he was intellect, but then his power was very physical. And that was never really a big fan of stretching powers. But anyway, so here he is, just deception and brutality to take out this foe. Just, a smash over here, a punch. Here he is, the smartest guy on the planet, and it's not like he carries gadgets and doodads in his costume or wears power armor or anything. It pretty much, when it comes down to a average fight, it's fisticuffs with him. It's physicality, which, it is kind of cool. Like, he's solving all these problems in his mind, but then when it's time to implement his solutions that he devises, it's just physicality. I always dug that. Stone inked all of Kirby's work for over a year, but he wanted a pencil, so he left Marvel. Oh, Marcus knows his stuff. So here's the scroll. Remember this: the scrolls, they shapeshift, and according, I'm sure Marvel changed this continuity, which irks me to no end. But the scrolls, later on, when Kirby came up with the Eternals, there was the Eternal group, the Deviant group, and then the Control group, which was baseline humanity. And on Earth, the Control group became dominant. Why? Because the Eternals and the Deviants were locked in an eternal battle. On the planet Skrull, the Deviants became the dominant life form and took, so some, I don't know, but I have recollections, but then again, I'm crazy, that somebody did a story with the eternal scrolls that survived, and so they're the deviant scrolls, and over the centuries, they the unstable nature of the deviants gave them the shape-shifting powers. So here he is, shape-shifting into what is this, some sort of crystalline, and then he's just blasted Zazam over here. And I love this comment by Old Dirty Fatty. First off, Old Dirty Fatty, thank you for showing up. I did this unannounced, unprepared, because I just slept in. The level of craftsmanship on display with that page. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, let's talk about that for a second. We'll talk about just this page over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. First off, George Perez is famous for these, they call them slice panels. And I just love it, because what they do is they narrow your focus. It's almost like holding your phone, what do they call it? The aspect ratio of your phone, so it makes you zoom in on you. But look, first off, just look at the punch. I just love that, that wham explosion, and then just look at all those lines and doodads in the background, just all that detail. It makes no sense. Who would design a room with all of that? But it's just awesome, because it's visual. Comic books are a visual medium, and you have to have something for your eyes to look at. Now, just look at all that detail in the background. That is just great. Look at Reed, the pose he's in. You could tell he's off balance. Look at his foot, and I get the feeling, but is he using that other arm, that curved arm, as a brace? Is that on the ground? It doesn't look like it, but so Reed is huddled down low, getting his center of gravity down low so he could do that punch. It's just so good. Marcus Kelligrew, George Perez is an influence on our, well then good. Then good, because George Perez, if you're doing comic books, George Perez should be an influence on your on your art. It's just a master. And then look at Reed again. He's just not letting up, not letting up, and until this blast over here. And over here, you don't need the backgrounds. Why don't you? And a little hint of backgrounds, because our brain is filling it in. And then Captain Marvel shows up. He comes out through the window. And the alarms, I don't know if the Skrull disconnected the alarms when that machine went off, or if Reed's computers recognize Captain Marvel as an ally, but he just shows up and he dispatches the Skrull, and so now they're arguing. He goes, "You don't understand. We have to save my wife, my kids. Everybody's in danger. You must understand. All lives are in danger." He goes, "I'll activate the transmitter." So he's trying to activate the transmitter so Captain Marvel can go through. Wait a minute, there's another Captain Marvel over there. What's going on? He's like, "Wait a minute. Yeah, we'll use the." So Reed, hurry! We got to activate. So what's he do? He brings in, as you requested, Skrull. So now he's bringing in the real Captain Marvel. The one who came in the window was a phony, which means that that machine must have deactivated all of the plot machine. So he smacks the fake Captain Marvel, who's transforming. Where did he get that gun from? He's looking scared. And what do we got over here? Guy delivered a pizza, guy hanging out and just looking at all this. He's like, it's so Fantastic Four must be something. Look over there. See all this? Why are these people running to the Fantastic Four building? Why are they running to the Baxter building? What do they think they're doing? He goes, I don't know, but if you excuse me, I'm a little late. So, all these people are running towards the action, and the pizza guy doesn't understand. Marvel had a great costume. Absolutely. Marvel, one of my favorite costumes, one of my favorite superhero costumes. I always say the superhero costumes must be simple and elegant. This is just a great costume. Oh, John, hey, how you doing? John DeVoice, thank you for coming. I love that John Buscema Conan avatar, just excellent. In that crimson is just awesome. Love George Perez's Wonder Woman, fantastic artwork. Yes, that's one of my first videos. It was the first video that I did. I talked about George Perez. It was really long. It was my first long video. When I say long, it was probably like a half hour, and it was the first video that I was proud of. I was like, wow, this John's Long Box channel might have some legs. So if you go all the way back to my old stuff, you'll see I had my old phone. I was probably whispering. It's probably terrible. Not that my videos today are any good as this shows, but it was the first time I was proud of a video. So check that out if you don't mind. Leave a comment. What's this? Old Dirty Fatty, schwack, so good. Got to steal it. The sound effect over here. He's talking about this. Reed just punches the fake Captain Marvel. So one thing I love is Reed is the super intelligent guy in the world. And of course, over his 70 years of showing up in comic books, he's portrayed differently. These days I think they're doing Reed dirty. Why? Because Reed is, Marvel's run by kids who hate their fathers. So any father figure must be destroyed. That's why Superman is the ultimate father figure, which is why my comic book character is called the Patriarch, because it's an homage to Superman. And at that point, I'll shield my comic. There's my character, the Patriarch. My friend Anton did some fan art of the Patriarch, and there you go. So there's his symbol that I'm proud of. But anyway, Reed has always been portrayed differently. And one of the things that I did like is he's a super genius. But as a super genius, he can be tricked. So right now he's emotional. Why is he emotional? Because the Skrull just told him that he killed everybody else in the Fantastic Four. So, he got hoodwinked like by this Captain Marvel, fake Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel, the real Marvel, is like, what does he say to him? How do I know that you're the real Marvel? He goes, look into my eyes, Reed Richards. He goes, your eyes, but why should I look at you? The answer you can see. He goes, oh, wow, your eyes. I never knew. I love that. I love that. So here we are looking into Captain Marvel's eyes. Captain Marvel's eyes are a window into the awesome eternal presence of the universe, the depths of peace and majesty. And over here in this panel, Reed says, it's like looking through a window into the very soul of the universe. Then you are convinced of who I am. Well, you could be no other. He goes, but now what do you mean by the Prime 10? So let's talk about that for a second. This is one of the things that I've loved about Captain Marvel. Let's do a little bit of a dive into Marvel's history. Marvel was a Kree. Up until this point, the Kree were all blue-skinned, mean space-faring Nazis or whatever. You know, the Kree-Skrull War, remember, both of them were evil by Earth standards. The problem is Earth was in the middle. So whenever the Kree went off to fight the Skrulls, Earth would get some collateral damage and vice versa. But when they decided to make Marvel a Kree spy, they didn't want to make him a blue alien. So then they invented that there was like Caucasian skinned Kree that were the subrace. You know, the blue Kree are the elite. The Caucasian skinned ones are like the minorities that get all the crap jobs. And Marvel was picked because he could fit in with humans. So here he is. He's an alien. He comes down to Earth and he spies on Earth because there was one scientist, Dr. Lawson, who invented the Omniwave projector and, was that a threat to the Kree and blah, 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 blah. Well, he meets Carol Danvers, so Carol Danvers was there from the beginning, and he starts to like humans, and he switches sides, and, so now he's a spy who switches sides. He defects, he starts defending humans and everything. Great. He had that wonderful costume with the crest on his head. And the comic was about to get canceled. It just didn't work. If you ask me, I think it was Gene Colan or Sal Buscema. I forget who did the art. Maybe it was both of them. And it was just lackluster. The stories kind of stunk. And they just squatted on the name to keep the name Captain Marvel. I mean, Marvel Comics, it makes sense. And they didn't want to cancel it because they didn't want to lose the name. They had to, they want to keep the name Marvel for Marvel Comics, right? And then along comes Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin's handing off a comic that should, if it was any other comic, it would have been canceled due to low sales. But because they want to keep the name active, they give it to Jim Starlin, and they're just like, do whatever you want. He changes the costume. He meets a cosmic entity named Eon, and Eon binds him to the universe, and he just becomes the protector of the universe. And he gets this cool costume, and he gets a purpose. And at that point, man, did those comics take off. Gene Colan gave way to Don Heck through that Captain Marvel. Okay, so I said Sal Buscema, and I was wrong. Again, thank you, Marcus. He knows his stuff. I did a showcase on the first Captain Marvel, and it just stunk. The artwork was uninspired. Gene Colan didn't like that stuff, and it shows. Don Heck, he's not my favorite superhero artist, but man, when Don Heck does military or cowboys, he is outstanding. So he's like, what are we gonna do? And then here's all the civilians that were running, and of course, they're all Skrulls. So this guy's got a smoking gun over here. He didn't shoot them while they were distracting, but that's comic books for you. So now we got Marvel and Mr. Fantastic outlined by the Prime 10 Skrulls. And again, look at this inconsistent art. Can you see what I'm talking about? Look at the faces over here. They're kindly it almost looks like one person drew the body and then another person drew the facial details. Was this rushed? Probably. But over here, you could see the George Perez. Now at this point, George Perez was working a lot with Joe Sinnott, and I think he just, I don't know, aping Jack Kirby over here. But I love this panel, I just love it. Sorry, I just got nostalgic looking at that. And then Spaboom. I had Sean Davis on the other day. Shane Davis, excuse me, does mixed martial arts. He does a whole bunch of different martial arts, and he incorporates that into his artwork. So like when they're throwing punches, he puts them in like the proper stances, and and does like actual martial art punch. And I made the comment, I always thought of like Superman doesn't know martial arts. He just comes out and fights because he is, he fights like a ballroom brawler because he's not trained. And then Batman started to train him in the use of fighting. But Ben Grimm is a brawler. Look at that. He just comes in, starts throwing haymakers, And it's funny because Sean Davis gave a definition of a haymaker, which totally escapes me. But he just it's a punch. It's a punch without the possibility of a follow-up punch. Is that what he said? Something like that. And I just love that Ben Grimm would just be throwing haymakers, just fighting like the toughest guy in the bar. He was in the military, so yeah, he does have. But Ben Grimm is a street brawler. He grew up at the Yancey Street, and just look at that punch. I love that. And then what is Reed doing? Reed's doing that Super Bowl thing and just bouncing into people. Captain Marvel's blasting. I just love it. And then here comes the torch. Now, we got a comment over here, Marcus. Now I'm going to post my Captain Marvel piece with. Oh, please do. I'd love to see it. I like seeing people's art. Now look at this from this bird's eye view. Hey, how you doing, guy? Okay, the guy is okay. That's good to know. Look at this. So we got this trail over here. This is Mar-Vell. He leaves this like cosmic particle in his wake, and the Human Torch over here, he leaves flame. And look at this. If you could see this, he shoots this fire down, and it scatters these two scrolls, and it makes debris, which always made me think that the Human Torch was improperly named. Now they took the name the Human Torch because of the 40s Human Torch, but he is the Human Jet. Because he's more than fire. He's propulsion. Otherwise, he wouldn't fly. And if he just shot fire, he would just light things on fire. But he's got force in his blast. So he's the Human Jet. And then Sue, just blasting people with the force. How powerful is force field? And it's funny because around this time, around 1977, geez, I was 9 years old when this came out, reading this stuff. I even as a kid, I was always like, Sue is so freaking powerful. The force field's really, really one of the most powerful things. Reed's giving orders, and what does Ben do? He gathers everybody up and he throws them into this matter transference device, and then he sets the feedback loop on it, and then I'll leave you in suspense while I answer. Oh, Madness is here. Hey, Pops, how you doing? This is when I was first getting into comics. Pops, may I ask you, how old were you in 1977? I don't mean to be rude or anything, but I know you're a few years older than me. So I'm just curious. I was 9 years old in 1977. So, man, was I sucked into this time period of comics. Oh, man. And now look at this. This drives me nuts. I've talked about this. This is another video that I'm very proud of. If you get, oh, I'm sorry, that stuck up on me. This X-Men 137. This Marvel comic could be worth $2,000. Oh my God, does that drive me nuts? That drives me nuts. Oh man. Marcus, I love Shane, but sometimes real punches aren't powerful. That's exactly. He agreed with you. He said the same thing. If you watch that video he made when he taught me how to make a zoom in on one speaker, he showed Superman throwing a punch, and he was talking about how this wouldn't be a normal effective punch, but it's a comic book, and he had to, that's what I liked about Shane, is he knew what he was talking about as far as the physicality of punches. Oh, so okay, so you were around 13, 14. Okay. So man, Pops, this must have been like crack for you running to get the, if for a person who's into comic books, and then we got this wonderful George Perez stuff. Yes, we talked about that. Pops was a mythology nerd, and Thor changed all that. Pops, again, another question. Where were you at this point when you were 13, 14 years old? I was in Nassau County, New York. Man, we would have been friends. Granted, 9 9 to 12 is a big age group at gap at that point. You know, Marcus was 12. Oh, Marcus, I always thought I was older than you. I always thought I was older than you. So you know, just look at this. So what does Reed do? He sets up a feedback loop that destroys his machine. And here we have the Perez principle. What is the Perez principle? When things get destroyed, draw 10 times the amount of debris. You know, like Shane Davis said, sometimes you got to break the rules of physics to show comic book dynamism. And this is George Perez breaking the rules of physics over here, because just look at this debris, and then Reed is upset because he created this machine that could have fundamentally transformed the way human beings lived, and he destroyed it. But don't go back to the drawing board. Don't fix it again. It's like the One Ring. It can never be made again. And then so now they're running down, looking at Franklin. Remember, Franklin was left with, Franklin's safe. He's with Blind Alicia. So this is something that I left out. I forgot to mention this, but you see this. So what did the Super Skrull do? Not the Super Skrull. He defeated the Fantastic Four and he threw him into this time machine. So now they're showing up. This is where the defeated Fantastic Four show up. They run in here and they see that the threat is over. And then, they're lounging out like, oh, we just got attacked. Willie Lumpkin was a Skrull. And what do? Oh, you guys got to go to this particular room. You got to go to this time and then close the loop. I just love that. And so they're meeting each other. Johnny Storm's on fire. This is separating each other. So they're meeting. They're a couple of hours. And I love this. Reed may be, stretchy. He may be a genius, but he's still a man. He's checking out too. I don't know. I always had a crush on the Invisible Woman, and look at him just enjoying the intention of Sue. And of course, Ben meets Ben, and they start to argue. So they go off. Reed tells them what time to set the time machine to close the loop and fight. I love that. I love that. And I will address the comments before going into the backup story. So you grew up in Minneapolis. You ever hang out with Prince? It's funny. I found Comics and Playboy at the same time. Talk about it. It's a funny story about, back then there was no internet. The only way to see boobies was, we didn't even have cable. It was like finding old Playboys and stuff. And a lot of times the comic book stores, this was before comic book stores. So I would go to like newsstands and, Fantastic Four and everything like that would be on a lower shelf that was accessible to kids. And then above it, so here's the Fantastic Four. And on this shelf would be all the Playboy, Penthouses, and Hustlers. So like you would pretend to look at the comic books and then every once in a while grab a Agatha Harkness. I don't understand that comment. The Vision, Wanda Frankenstein was one of my favorite Avengers. Yes. Oh yeah, Agatha Harkness. She debuted in the Fantastic Four as a babysitter for Reed. I went to Central High. Prince played kegger parties back then. Dude can make that guitar. Yep. A lot of respect for Prince. Super talented. What did he die? Did he die of a heart attack? I forget how he died. So now we're going into the backup story, The Return of Dr. Doom, Power of the People. And let's look at the credits. So we got Doug Munch is writer, Tom Sutton is the artist, Jim Novak letterer, Ben Sean colors, Jim Scalgrip editor, Jim Shooter is and I just broke my freaking, so I gotta hold it now. I just broke my easel, whatever you want to call it. So this is Zorba. He's the good guy who took over. Dr. Doom destroyed his face, so he got these implants on him. Pretty sure they took him out. You think Prince was killed? Or did he have something on Hillary Clinton? Wow. So the people, I always thought this was important. And note the coloring. The people in the foreground are colored. The building is colored, but then the principal character Zorba and his attendant, and they're just not colored. I understand why they did it, but it just doesn't work for me. So Zorba took over when Dr. Doom. He did not play the game they hit. Yeah, he was a wild card. I was just listening to RJ of the Fourth Age talking about how the establishment can't deal with wild cards. I love RJ from the Fourth Age. But anyway, so Zorba is making a democracy. He's doing everything, and the people just don't like it. And what are they doing? They're rioting because, Doom may be a horrible, oppressive dictator, but the trains run on time. He used his science to make food, but, he didn't have basic freedoms and everything like that. But, no, Doom didn't raise taxes on anybody. He would just, hello from America. Where in America are you, bus stop? Where are you? Well, I just got distracted. Okay. I missed those days when comic book spinner racks were in most local. Yeah. I miss. I have a spinner rack when I picked up this. I made sure that I bought a spinner rack. I just get nostalgic. So anyway, the tiny nation of Latvia was ruled by an iron. It's like North Korea. It's ruled by a despot. Bus stop is from every corner in America. Yes. And all the basic needs were met. Nobody was hungry. The trains ran on time, but you gave up your freedom. And this is a wonderful commentary. People will give up freedoms for comfort and security. They will. It's just a fact. We do it in America. We do it all the time. So it's a constant struggle of this tug of war of how much freedom. I remember true freedom, absolute freedom is terrifyingly scary. That's anarchy and total independence where each individual is their own sovereign. That's terrifying. And I understand. And then on the other side, total comfort, it's just total authoritarianism of the state, and it provides every citizen is just a baby that's spoon fed by the government. That's I don't like that, but I understand. You might as well be in the Matrix. You just in this like little womb where the government takes care of you. So that's to me that is like the struggle is how much do we want to give up for peace and comfort. And how much dangerous freedom do we want? I'm that's about as political as I want to get right now. But this comic book is playing with that. Now, Dr. Doom was more on the authoritarian side. He gave the people everything they needed, but the people didn't have choice. They didn't have free will and everything. But they had comfortable lives. They didn't have to worry about food. They didn't have to worry about their kids. They didn't have to worry about crime. And I could see why people would give that up. Now they have freedom, but they got to pay taxes. The prices are going up. People got to work overtime. So which one is it? So let's see. Lunch. Who would win, Captain America or Wonder Woman? That would be a good fight. My gut says Wonder Woman because she's just more powerful. But I think like Captain America couldn't go punch for punch with Wonder Woman. So I think the fight would have to it would end up on some sort of like speech, or mutual respect. My money's on Wonder Woman. Yeah, like I said, that's my first gut. Wonder Woman just is physically more powerful. People give up their freedom for comfort. Yeah, Ben Franklin. And then I guess Luke Jen is agreeing with me, or is he agreeing with John DeVoice? I don't know. Either way, thanks for comment. So now they're realizing they have a mob. Better on Doom than Zorba's Doom. Look at that face over there. And they realize they're having problems. So, road to hell is paved with good intentions. He's like, what do we do? What do we do? Now, why is Dr. Doom not here? In the classic Fantastic Four 200, which I have yet to showcase, Doom had this magic science crystal with all these facets, everything, and he was going to do his devilish daring do. And Reed took off his mask, and he saw his face reflected upon him a million, billion, zillion times in every facet, and it drove him nuts. And Doom is now like, look at that. That's Dr. Doom in there. And Zorba's like, what do we got to do? And he's like, look at him sitting there, not moving, not moving. He's like, wait a minute, why is he not moving? They open it up and it's a bomb. You know, it's a robot, it's a bomb. So the real Dr. Doom is out there someplace. We got it, you know, we're in terrible danger. You know, Doom is free, and he knows that we know that he's free. So, and then we got this servant over here, Boris. I think this is one of the final appearances of Boris. I think he died. Captain Marvel's been posted. Cool. Tag me in it, or I'll see it, Marcus. And the real Doctor Doom is by his loyal. They're like almost like cultists. And what do? They do magic science on him. They're talking about how the evil Doctor Doom did experiments on Zorba. He's waking up. He's freaking out. The O.J. Simpson says the Jew says, "Show them your heels." You know, so O.J. Simpson wants to see your heels. And what do we got here? Madness. Dave and I will be covering some more random early 2000 DC. Found some really bad stuff. For those of you who don't know what Pop's talking about, he does a show called The Show Offs. It's at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. I won't be able to go. My wife and I are going to the movies today, so just a cool date night. You know, I didn't have any videos last night. And I didn't have any because I've been doing so much. So, this whole weekend, it's just me and my wife. The Show Offs at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There you go. What are you guys going to see? I don't even know. She wanted to see it. She told me, and like a horrible husband, in one ear, out the other. But that's what she wants to do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the movies, and then we'll go get something to eat. So Zorba's freaking out. Look, just look at the decay. Look, there's moss growing on Doom's castle and everything like that. You know, Zorba is just an inefficient but good-hearted politician. It's Mark. I just asked her last night. Let's go see Godzilla. She's not interested, so it looks like I'm gonna go see Godzilla on my own. What always happens is like, okay, I'm gonna go see Godzilla, and then she'll come with me. Like, let's go see Godzilla. I don't want to see that. Okay, well, I'm gonna go by myself. Now I'll go with you. That's what's gonna happen. Little secret. I've never seen a Godzilla movie. Never watched a Godzilla movie. I was never interested. So all of these people are the Doom followers, and ta-da, Doom is coming in. But what's he doing? He wants his mask. It's being shown off as a trophy. They come in. They're attacking Zorba. They're firing at him. Pow, 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 pow. They take Doom's mask. Zorba's freaking out. He's just, like I said, he's got good intentions. But he's just an ineffective ruler. Dare I say it? He's a Democrat. But geez, modern Democrats don't even have good intentions. But he's a perfect example of this sounds good. Let's implement it without thinking about it. Why? Because it sounds good. My emotions tell me it's good. And so now they put Doom, and now Doom is in this mental state that his scientist soldiers, like, say, once he gets his mask on, it'll snap out because his brain is retreating from the horrors of his face. They put the mask on him, and they're using like electroshock therapy to revive him. And now Doom is back. He's back, baby. And what does Doom do? He starts, it's like, thank you. You restored me. Strago, but you were captured by Zorba. Please, I escaped. I've done nothing wrong. Crave adult. Nothing will provide the enemy. So this guy saves Doom, organizes this revolt, gets Doom's mask, wakes him up, and then Doom just executes him. Why? Because he did a sloppy job, and now Zorba's men know where Doom is. So Doom's out. Look at this. He's a general. He's out there in the front, fighting and battling everybody. Fighting, he's just destroying Zorba's men, and Zorba's just fleeing. He's like, I'm out of here, And now Doom takes this sky thing that we haven't seen since Fantastic Four, and then there's poor old Boris. Just Boris. I'd like to learn more about this character. Like he's just like, I remember this, the Fun and Games comic. He's just like associated with Doom. He's like Doom's lackey, but yet he knows that Doom is trouble. EVF's wife Andrea like Godzilla. She'll love Godzilla. It's got a love story in it. I'm sure she'll like it. So there you go. This is a Fantastic Four annual. You know, this story with Captain Marvel and the Fantastic Four. You know, Marvel has like a super cult following, and Marvel was one of those characters that was hard for me to get as a kid. So when he showed up, it was like a treat. And I don't know the reason. I'm only speculating, but it had the newsstand. So when you got comics back then, whatever you didn't sell went back. You'd rip off the cover or whatever, and it would get sent back, and you got credit for them. So the people that ran the newsstand were like, okay, so Captain Marvel doesn't sell in John Longbox's area, so no more Captain Marvel comics. So for whatever reason, it was hard. Like there was a couple of like I would get Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Thor, all the like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all that stuff was big, but like stuff like Ghost Rider was hard to find, Doctor Strange, the Defenders, Captain Marvel, like all the B stuff. Like I barely remember seeing Iron Man comics as a kid. So whenever I saw Captain Marvel, to me, it was a big deal because he hardly ever showed up. Let's see what's on the back cover. Okay, this Olympic ad. So that's the comic today. Sorry it was late. Sorry it took me a while to start, but I just slept in. Anything anybody want to say? Any comments before I shut this down? Anything? Thank you for showing up. Let's run down a list of people who are here. Of course, we got Marcus. We got Marcus, Old Dirty Fatty, John DeVoice. Thank you. The Guy. Thank you, The Guy. And we got I know there's more. Luke Chan, John DeVoice again. And yeah, that's everybody. I ended up I hate the practice of retailers ripping off the cover of comics. I cringe when I know. Did anybody ever buy coverless comics? They called them like nickel comics. They would sell them for a nickel because they were supposed to be thrown away. But then a lot of guys got the idea of like some kids will just buy coverless comics, so they got credit for them and then they would sell them for a nickel. So you will see coverless comics like CGC. I couldn't do it. I could not buy coverless comics. I ended up subscribing to most of the Marvel line. Did they come beat up? I subscribed to Doctor Strange, and I just remember them coming with like just like a brown paper sleeve over them, and I hated it. I hated it. Thor's Avengers, Defenders, and FF were the main ones. Yeah. Except for Defenders, I would get. I always remember getting Thor, Avengers, and Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man because those were always around wherever I went. But like the B line of Marvel, I never really got to see. I have a bunch of coverless books. Oh God, that just makes me cringe. But I understand where they came from, and I understand why people got them. So, all right, it looks like the comments are winding down. Thanks a lot, everybody. This was Sunday Comics. When I come back from the movies today, I'm going to record a week's worth of videos. So I will always have a video posted, even though I've been doing a lot of live chats. So I'll see you guys. Thanks a lot for coming in. I appreciate it. No, they came fine. I don't remember any comic being damaged. Oh, good. Thanks for the comment. You're welcome, John. Thanks for showing up. And I will see you guys later tomorrow. I've been neglecting the Monday music. I should go back to that too. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you. Bye-bye.